States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please. Roll call, Nick.
Councilor Post?
Here.
Councilor Strata?
Here.
Councilor Shamp?
Here.
Councilor Chamberlain?
Present.
Councilor Sturts?
Here.
Councilor Fry?
Here.
All members are present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have approval of prior meetings minutes. So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Councilor Coast and second by Councilor Sturts. Councilor Coast?
Yes.
Councilor Sturts?
Yes.
Councilor Strata?
Yes.
Councilor Shamp?
Yes.
Councilor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Fry?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Is Kurt here yet?
No. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just in time. Yeah, we're ready.
We're first up? Okay. You want me to come up to the podium? No, not.
Yeah, come on up.
Redhead.
It's open mic night.
What's that?
It's open mic night, go ahead.
You look very good. Well, I'm Tom Savage, I'm on the tree commission here in Wauseon, and we're going to honor Kurt Jones as booster of 2014. Just a little bit about Kurt. Kurt has helped in the planting of over 100 trees of the Wauseon Tree Commission in the city of Wauseon at Homecoming Park. He's also helped in the planting of almost as many trees in other parks as a donation. Kurt uses his 24-inch auger on our larger trees, the large potted trees, and give it the best chance for survival. Kurt always works with the tree commission and the city of Wauseon to coordinate the best planting times. Kurt has donated probably 50 hours of his time, equipment, and fuel for the Wauseon parks. We, the Wauseon Tree Commission, would like to thank Kurt for this time and hard work by honoring him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. We appreciate all your time and effort.
It's
And
been great working with the tree commission. They've been very easy to work with. And I told them whenever they need help, just let me know.
thank you
very much. Thank you.
Much appreciated. We can move on to committee reports. Buildings and grounds.
Okay.
Move on now.
February 2nd.
Thank you.
We discussed the sidewalks from Leggett Street School. Mr. Armstrong stated back in 2009 that Tom and Film Director Drysdale had looked into the possibility of putting sidewalks in on either the north side or the south side of Leggett Street. They tried for the Safe Routes to School grant, looked into that, and but time we didn't qualify. Since then, they kind of like to put sidewalks in on one side or the other because field trips without busing, they got to walk. Like if they want to go to the courthouse or the senior center or the fire department or any other park, they got to walk, and kind of makes it hard when there's no sidewalk. Mary Uner said that she met with the Clinton Township trustees and discussed sidewalks around other areas of town, and there are some, like West Elm Apartments and Sarah's Garden, and David Wright said he thought there was some grants to hook the whole city together to do the bike path and you have to make a loop. So right now they're in the process of checking about that grant and still checking out the sidewalk to the school grant. And, then we discussed if they put the sidewalk in about crossing guards, and Chief Torvich said, to put the sidewalk on the north side, you need 2 crossing guards, Shoup and Virginia Drive, and if you put it on the south side, you need 1 crossing guard at Shoup. There are some trees that they had planted along the south side, but I think, I think Rick thought they were still young enough to be transplanted, so we really didn't have any recommendations other than check out see if they can get some type of grant to put these in, so we'll have a recommendation this time.
Okay, thank you. Tree Commission.
Tree Commission met. February 11th, discussed our tree inventory. Katie Corkle, which did the tree inventory originally, said that she was going to get with people from Public Works Department to kind of give them some training and updating and make it more user-friendly for them. We're notified that the tree grants that Kim had applied for were not available. Also, Kim has enrolled into the Tree Academy at the state of Ohio in her freshman year, and that we discussed some information that she needed for homework for her sophomore year. We just talked about the booster of the year, and we are making plans for Arbor Day celebration on April 24th at the middle school and the elementary school, primary school. That's about it.
Department heads.
Fire department wise, we fortunately had no weather-related issues or fires the last couple of weeks. It's been kind of quiet on that front. The EMS calls are trending up, but we're good there. And civil service testing is scheduled for March 7th for fire department positions. Other than that,
Great. Thank you. Keith?
Working on the dog ordinance, and I do want to thank the fire department on Saturday for their assistance. We were assisting the county with several disabled during the whiteout conditions, and the fire department was able to come out and assist us to get some of the vehicles out of the way before they became a serious accident. So I just wanted to thank them for their help. And that's about it. And we are actively working on getting together a committee to take on the fire department at the chili cook-off. So
Yes, that sounds good.
Pretty tough to see, I tell you what.
looking to do the bite the bullet chili.
I appreciate that, thank you. Okay, Tom?
In regards to the sidewalk projects, just let council know that I have got commitment from a private individual that will be making a $20,000 donation for the sidewalk to the West Elm apartment project. So with that donation and the money we usually use, we can probably get that one done this year. So, just to let you know.
That's a good
We're
thing.
working on that. The mayor will be meeting with Clinton Township, I think, this week to
Yes.
discuss what side of Elm Street we should be on and get the particulars around. But we do have an individual that has made a donation through Christmas cheer that will come to the city for that project.
Thank you. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to stop at looking at the grant
Right.
for the
It's
loop
just that we
around
got-
Wauseon, because that's a great project. I think that would really benefit Leggett Street School too, but this,
This one just came up, so we'll be able to do something on Elm Street for the West Elm apartments.
good thing for all of them that are walking out.
And we did have 2 foundations put in last week in that weather, so.
I mean, early thoughts, Tom, $20,000 enough to get to West Elm Apartments?
No, it'll take a little bit of our normal sidewalk money,
sidewalk money.
yeah, so. But we have
I think we budget $25,000 for new sidewalk every year.
25 and 25 for
25
tree
for-
damage, but we can,
Pull from,
if we still want to do the Lawrence Avenue.
yeah, because it was at
And then
2015.
we could take and allocate the other for this, so. It'll work out. The good news is that we're not going to exceed our 50. We can still do these as a project and not have to, so we don't have a lot of design per se and spend money for that, so.
Okay. Great, thank you, Tom. Dennis?
Just a few things for tonight's meeting. Dave Pike, superintendent at the water reclamation plant, and I met with some folks from Arcadis to talk about the biosolids study that's in this year's budget. Going to keep in mind either known or future regulations that our friends at the EPA will be throwing at us. Also, kind of a capital improvements forecast. I know that's been talked about here before. So we just wanted to make sure that they could incorporate those things as much as applicable anyway to the biosolids study. The screw pump project out at the water reclamation plant is out for bids, advertised and so on. Those bids open on St. Patrick's Day of all days at 2 p.m. So hopefully we'll get some good numbers there. Linfoot Street project has cleared the ODOT review, and either last Thursday or Friday was submitted to the Federal Highway Administration, and we await their comments and or clearance. Lastly, I wanted to mention that, and I gave Meg some copies of this if anybody wants one, received an email from the Fulton County Public Utilities Department. They have obtained a grant from Ohio EPA for litter and recycling. The notice is to promote cleanup of highways, parks, things of that nature. So if you're somebody, school groups, scouts, FFA, 4-H clubs, and alike, they'll provide materials, bags, and so on for county folks to go out and clean up the highways. Also, as part of this, there will be a tire amnesty on Saturday, April 25th and May 30th from 8 to 4 p.m. out at the transfer station by the airport. Residential only, no commercial, and I think a limit of four tires per household. So that's something that ZIAD has done, not every year, but every year when he does receive this grant. So encourage folks to take advantage of that and help clean up our neighborhoods. Any questions? I need to leave if I may.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Okay, Jamie?
I provided the January month-end figures for you, but I didn't have it at the last meeting, and other than that, I do not have any new business.
Okay, Tom?
Spent some time working with Chief Torbett on the vicious dog ordinance,
Thank you.
working on a number of real estate projects and some other things. Other than that, got to work on my final report for last year. So I'm not the last. I'm not the last one.
You're getting close.
Pretty close.
Yes, you are.
We don't want you to ruin the rest.
I hate being last in the book.
Thank you. Let's move on for no first readings. Second reading of legislation. Resolution 2015-9, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for a countywide emergency management agency pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 5502.
Second reading?
I'll second that.
Motion moved by Councilor Chamberlain and second by Councilor Shamp. Is there any discussion? Councilor Chamberlain?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Shamp?
Yes.
Councilor Fry?
Yes.
Councilor Sturts?
Yes.
Councilor Strata?
Yes.
Councilor Coast?
Abstain, employee of EMA.
5 yeas, 1 abstain. Resolution 2015-9 passes on second reading.
Thank you. Third reading. Resolution 2015-1 establishing that if a new pool is built in the city of Wauseon, it will be built at Reard Park.
Third reading.
Second.
Motion moved by Counselor Sturts and second by Counselor Fry. Is there any discussion? Counselor Sturts?
Yes.
Counselor Fry?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Shamp?
Yes.
Counselor Strata?
Yes.
Counselor Coats?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, Resolution 2015-1 passes on third reading and will be in effect in 30 days.
Thank you. Under new business, we have a motion to, accept agreement for the CGI Communications to do a marketing video of the city of Wauseon.
So moved.
Second. Go ahead, Joe. No, go ahead. No, you want to, go ahead. Jeff has it.
Motion moved by Counselor Chamberlain and second by Counselor Sturts.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Motion
Yeah.
moved by Counselor Shamp and second by Counselor Sturts. Yes, I was just looking at you. So that's fine.
No, these guys want to be headliners in that video.
First beautiful, that's a new pool.
Is there any discussion?
None that's worth hearing.
Counselor Shamp?
Yes.
Counselor Sturts?
Yes.
Counselor Fry?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Strata?
Yes.
Counselor Coats?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay. Is there any more new business that needs to be discussed tonight?
Yeah. Just wondered, what are we gonna do about the problem that we had with
Martin's issues.
Yeah, Martin's issues.
Well, I feel that that is something that council needs to discuss, considering that with sunshine laws, we have to discuss this in public
Right.
meetings. So I guess this is the time to discuss it.
Okay, here's what I'm looking at. This is our charter, okay? The charter was voted on by the people of Wauseon, May 5th, 1981, so none of us had anything to do with right. But, and like the charter actually says, members of council shall be electors of the municipality at the time they file for office and during their term of office. So me, you know, that's pretty basic. Okay. Now, the only thing somebody might have a question on is what an elector is. But if you look up elector and what the dictionary, it's, you know, tells you somebody that's got the right to vote. Okay. Now, I for one, when I took office here, I took an oath. You know, it says, I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and the Charter of the City of Wauseon. And I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties of the office for the City of Wauseon, the State of Ohio. So, I feel something needs to be done because, like the rest of us, and you too, we all took that same oath. So if we don't do nothing about it, my oath might, you know, number one, we might as well just get rid of the charter, we don't need it. Number two, I give my, you know, I will give my word, just like everybody else here does. And something needs to be done. You know, if anybody wants a copy of the oath, I got copies. It was in the city paper, this might be. But if you don't use it, I'll take a shot and go back to the
Yeah, make use of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a copy of, you know, of the oath that we all took.
Tom, would you like to walk the public through what has happened?
Sure, well, just to sort of reset the table, I think City learned last week or a week before that Martin had, was not, as of the date of his appointment by council, was not a registered voter in Fulton County. So the chronology was
He was appointed August 18th, I believe, by council, sworn in on the 2nd of September, and on September 11th, Martin registered with the Fulton County Board of Elections. And so the issue is whether the issue arises as to what is the impact or what if anything should be done, given at the time he was appointed by council, he was not registered in Fulton County. He was registered, I believe, in Wood County at the time. So I guess the issue is what action council, if any, wishes to take with respect to not being qualified at the time of the appointment in August.
And that was brought to your attention by, okay.
I had to be at the election board checking my filed my petitions. And I went back in later to see if it was qualified.
Right?
And what's that?
I'm sorry.
And at that time, I'm not sure how it was brought up, but I had found out that the Board of Election had emailed Meg and said, could you please send us contact information for Martin Estrada? Address and phone numbers would be great. We would like to update his records. So Meg did email him back September 3rd, the same day, and said, this is Martin's address, 329 Cherry, and this is a cell phone number. Now,
That was on September 3rd.
yeah. Now, September 11th was the day that you went to change. And you said Friday night at the meeting that you,
I had moved from 329 Cherry Street to 123 North Fulton Street. And during the process of my move, my driver's license was coming up for renewal. So I did what everybody does, is you go through your list of addresses and you change your addresses. So I went and switched everything over as normal. And when I went down to the Board of Elections to make sure that my address for my registration was correct, they had told me that I still had a Wood County address in there from when I was in college. So I said, what do I need to fix it? They said, fill out a change of address form. So I filled out a change of address form. There was nothing alarming about the situation. Nobody had asked me any particular questions. Everything was filed. If there was something that I had seen that may have been wrongdoing, I would have thought the Board of Elections would have contacted somebody. Nobody felt that it was a large offense. According to Tom, the two options we have are to, to dismiss it as an oversight or to move to grounds for removal.
Yeah, there's no, unlike some other charters, city charters, there is no provision that provides for an automatic forfeiture of the office upon either the occurrence of a disqualifying factor or the existence of a disqualifying factor. And instead, our charter seems to envision that if that issue is to be pursued by council, it would be pursuant to the removal section in section 11, I think it is, of the charter.
That would require a public meeting and 3/4 vote.
That's correct. That's correct.
For removal.
Yeah.
And we walked through, I gave them copies of my W-2s. I've been living in the city of Wauseon and paying city taxes since 2013. I had no aspirations of becoming a city councilman or a politician at that time, and it came really down to a city councilman's passing is how I was appointed. It all happened very quickly. In fact, I got a call I got a call that was letting me know that I was being reconsidered the day before Don Matthews had passed away, saying his health was going down and they were going to revisit the scenario. The following day, he passed away. I don't know how many days, it must have been, what, 2 or 3 days that I was appointed? Or after Don's, I was notified that I was getting the council seat. It all happened very quickly. When I noticed the mistake, I had it corrected. I mean, there was no concealment. There was no, as of Jeff had pointed out with the oath, faithfully, honestly, and impartially. As far as I know, Everything was done in that nature. It was a common mistake.
Other than the fact I felt when I voted, I was given false information. I really do. I didn't get to check with the election board the day they're closed, but I didn't know if I was gonna check with them to see if they actually called you. Now, you did say, they said the problem's fixed. Well, with the election board, the problem was fixed. They weren't saying this was fixed here. They were telling you your registration is fixed. You were registered right. They weren't saying your problem here.
At the time, I didn't know I had a problem with it. I wasn't notified as of a problem until 3 days ago.
And, I mean, through the appointment process, we interview, and, you know, every one of us that participated in those interviews, we didn't know that part of our, unfortunately, we didn't know that part of it, we didn't ask. So not only does, you know, I feel that it's an oversight on my part as a member of council, that I should have asked that question or should have been aware of that. I think it's an oversight on our legal department not to make sure we're reminded of that. There's some oversight that took place here, and it's shared by many. And if there's going to be removal, if there's members of council that would like to pursue the removal, then we have that hearing. We schedule that hearing. We take it to a vote. 3/4 passes, he's removed. There's a process to be had here, and I think we just refer to that process.
So Martin, you moved back to Wauseon in what, 2013?
2013.
And you were a registered voter in Wood County up until 2013? Well, no, 2014, because you would have come back in 20...
Well, whenever I fixed my address.
That would have been
registration-
September of 2014. So you moved back here in 2013 and didn't change until September of 2014. So it was almost a year that, okay.
Now, York Township did have a case like this where they had a Williams County. She wasn't registered in York Township, and she had to be removed.
Did she live in York Township or Williams County?
She lived in Williams County, she was registered there
Like you said, she was removed from York,
from the office in York.
but she didn't live in York at all.
No, that the law is, just like the charter says. The state law is,
But it says, in the law, it says ceases to hold those qualifications. I currently hold those qualifications.
currently, but you did not at the time you applied.
And
So-
like Waters, the two cases that you had brought up last Friday, where there were candidates that didn't have the qualifications when they were appointed or elected, and then had due diligence to correct those qualifications. How did those, if you like to,
There was a 1990s Ohio Supreme Court case involving a situation with and a question as to whether a person who was not qualified at the time of appointment because they had employment with another public agency, whether that person could address the disqualifying factor after the election. And I think the Supreme Court said generally that someone who has a disqualifying factor is entitled to immediately address that issue. Now, what constitutes immediately is kind of open-ended. Here it's 11 days, I guess, or maybe more if you go back to the time of appointment, as opposed to swearing in. There's another Court of Appeals case in which a person was disqualified from serving on council because they had a felony record, and that person, per the Court of Appeals decision, which followed the 1990 Supreme Court decision, basically said that he would be entitled to try to get his record expunged. As it turns out, he waited 3 months to do that, and the court found it was too long. But there is some indication in the case law that there is, based on those decisions, there's an ability to remediate a disqualifying factor. Now, having said that, those cases did not deal with a situation which we have here, which is kind of unique, where you have an appointment of a person based on certain
on the circumstances that we had here as opposed to an election and involving a felony issue or disqualification based on other employment. So I can only tell you what those cases held and the facts under which they...
Not a perfect fit to our scenario. It's
No.
But, it's like I said, I can't see anywhere in the charter where it says you got so many days to correct your problem. And if I get picked up doing 55 out of town and it's a 35, hey, the law's the law. I can't say, well, I overlooked it. I'm going to be in trouble for it.
Yeah, I'm not arguing about the law. I'm saying we do one of two things. We chalk this up as an oversight and a small clerical error, or we go through the removal process. And that's what the council will have to decide. I have no part in that anymore. I just need the public to be aware of what the issue was, how it came about, and that it wasn't a dishonest move.
I don't think that you planned it to deceive anybody to begin with, or anything like that. I guess a little bit of my problem is if we'd have asked the question prior to your interview, you wouldn't even gotten the
I would have had to check.
Right.
And maybe that would have been enough. If somebody would have asked me, I could have just said, Kate, can I fill out the form earlier? And then this wouldn't have been an issue.
And then the other thing I was going to ask Tom, you said it was like 11 days, but doesn't an elector have to be registered 30 days prior to? So it's almost, it's a month and 10 days or whatever. So.
Yeah, I wasn't triggered to check for anything
No,
other than my license was coming up for renewal.
But there's some things that, you gotta do the background checks, you gotta do the finding of yourself. I mean, even anything you do, if you wanna fill out a petition, if you don't know how, you gotta ask questions. Was it up to us to actually ask him? Maybe, but maybe not.
Another option which I suggested to council is something that could be considered would be some sort of motion or resolution of censure, which would just simply be an indication by council in a formal way of what it deems to be an inappropriate oversight, whatever focus council would want to lay on it. That would have wouldn't have an effect of removing Martin from council or have other effect other than just to take a position as the city with respect to the circumstances. So that's sort of another option, I think. Council could consider.
I was just going to ask Tom, if we pursue this, and if Martin were taken off the council, it appears that there's a provision at the end of Section F here, of F, where decisions made by council under this section would be subject to review by the courts on the matter of law and whether the council acted arbitrarily and without probative evidence to support the grounds for removal. So is there a means for Martin to appeal any decision that we ultimately make?
Yeah, actually, either Martin or council for that matter, and this is another remedy that council could pursue, there's a cause of action called a quo warranto, which is set forth in the Constitution, which allows either side to petition the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeals and ask for a decision on this issue. So, yes, I don't know that would be considered an appeal, but it could be either side could utilize that procedure.
I can let you know I'm not going to go to the Supreme Court.
For addressing the issue, yeah.
Whatever,
You can't go
whatever's
to
decided here, that's as far as I'm going to go, unless there's something outlandish that happens.
It's not appealable to the common police court, though. I don't think it would have to be taken to either the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court.
And just for public knowledge, Martin, you got to know you're not running for election.
Just to clarify, if council was inclined to pursue the removal process, actually under the Article 11, it would have to be initiated by the mayor. But I think, and Mayor Unit can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she would want the direction of council on that, if that's something council wanted to have done by way of a motion, so that it was something council, she was sure that's what council wanted to do.
I absolutely would want the direction of the council on this matter, considering the fact that this is something that you as council have to decide. So from what I'm understanding from Tom, there are three options. And by listening to the council, there are different views as how they are perceiving what transpired, how it should go forward. We can either make a resolution with some sort of discussion on how you would want to treat this, or ask them to be removed or disregarded. Move on. So I think those are the three options that council needs to discuss.
Well, I think as far as just disregarding it, I can't say that because I took an oath. And if I just disregard it, you know, I wouldn't be holding up to when I raised my right hand and took that oath. You know, I'm sorry. I'm back in the days where a handshake did the job, and it's not that way anymore, but I did take an oath. And I took oaths for the people of Wauseon that I would stand behind what they would have done. And yes, does the charter need to change? There's a couple different things in there. But one thing everybody knows, I've been on about 5 years. We're going to get that done on the ballot this year. One way or another, ain't we, John?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And I will, like I said, I wanted to call the Secretary of State's office back today, and they're closed for the holiday. These government workers.
So it takes a council member to make a motion to begin the removal process or go censorship or do nothing at all. I mean, that's where we're at, folks. Uncomfortable silence is driving me nuts.
I still feel that it was probably an oversight on Martine's position, not realizing that he needed to be an elected or not remembering that he wasn't an elected if he actually thought he was registered at Cherry Street instead of Fulton Street. And I also think it was an oversight on council's part. To me, this is similar to a hiring position of an employee when you do some type of background check, at least as far as the minimum requirements, whether it's an educational level or whatever you're asking for. The only thing they ask for here is that you be 18 years of age and an elector. And I think to be an elector, you probably have to be 18 years of age. So they, in essence, only ask one thing that can be verified at the Board of Elections. I'm not trying to point fingers. And that's where, as I said before, I think it's a learning issue going forward, that we do look into that before we just appoint somebody off the street. But it seems harsh. It would be a lot cleaner if you resign, obviously. You have stated that you have no intention of doing so.
That's correct.
But I'm not sure to vote him off the island over an honest mistake. I'm not going to ask you to do it, but if you do pursue it, I will have to make up my mind at that time. Yeah, I realize it's a long drawn out, well, not too bad, but it's a drawn out process. You don't want to waste your time going through.
Yeah,
the
and it's going to be a
procedure.
cost to the city by doing that too.
Well, sure, there's a legal ad and everything else that has to be published, correct?
Yes, but by not acting at all, it, to me, makes this council look as that they feel that nothing, I mean, an oversight, whatever, it did in fact happen, so.
Were you a member of this council when that happened? Or
Was
were
I
you-
a member
yeah,
of this?
were-
Yes, I was on the
Okay.
council when it happened, I'm sure. All council was aware of that.
No, I couldn't remember. It's been such a shuffle. I couldn't remember.
It was August, September.
Well, you mentioned that it was a mistake.
Well,
And it's-
he mentioned it was a mistake.
Well, I mean, you saying, we've got to do something. Since
Yes,
we
with
know
the
that
charter.
mistake
Agreed.
took place. And the mistake took place no matter what we do going forward. We can't rescind the fact that he applied
Right.
incorrectly and was appointed.
Right.
So if you need to go ahead with this provision to satisfy some of the members on council, I'd say go ahead.
That needs to be voted on by council and made a motion.
Well, what's the other, I mean, that's one option, what was the other option again? A resolution or what?
Well, I guess what I was suggesting, the possibility consisted of passing a resolution which acknowledges, we trot through, in the whereas clauses, the circumstances, and then having a clause or clauses that expresses council's, I know dissatisfaction is not the right word, but recognize the impropriety of the circumstances. And I guess that would be pretty much it. It would be staking out a position of confirming council's disapproval of the fact that Martin wasn't registered at the time of his appointment. And that it wasn't, and I mean, if council was inclined that it wasn't, when he recognized that he wasn't registered, that was not conveyed to council and the city. I mean, that's kind of what I was envisioning.
Would that satisfy you?
Well, you're saying that, if you go with that, you're saying council still doesn't approve, I mean, so what's the difference?
Just a slap on the wrist. And he's still on council.
What do you think about you, Martin?
It's not up to me. I mean, mistakes have been made by other individuals. I mean, did I hurt the city with my address change?
No, but what about?
Not having me here for the
What
last
about,
3
like I
months?
said, the other, what about the ones that did apply that were, registered in the city of Wauseon that didn't get the job?
I guess the other way around is, have I done any good since I've been here? Would that have not been done? Well, maybe all the decisions would have been made the same way anyway. We don't know. We can't, I guess, comment on question marks. They may have made a mistake as well. We don't know. But I mean, as far as an address change, you feel it's a removable offense. And
Or in the charter, I feel it is, yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
And
That's
in the
my opinion.
And the charter,
charter
and the charter does go through and say we can either go through the removal process or
What?
or just count it as a mistake. And that's why I get pulled out of
It says
this.
for,
That's where I get pulled out of it. It's
Removal
up to
process.
the remaining 5 of council. I can't vote for or against myself. And I've already stated that I'm not resigning, so I can't honestly vote that we should remove me.
so, but it does say in the charter that if somebody's not registered in this municipality and they're put into office,
I believe that's usually referring to people who don't live here, that live in a different place, or that cease to hold the requirements and decide to move. If I lived in the city of Wauseon and then I moved, I mean, not too many people are going to be a registered voter and then not a registered voter and still live in the same place. The only way to unregister yourself is to move or commit a felony. And if I committed a felony, then I'd be removed on that basis. Otherwise, I mean, it's hard to unregister yourself.
Yeah, just to clarify, I don't know if this is germane or not, but actually the state code does have a residency requirement for a year in the default provision for being a qualified electorate, but our charter doesn't have thank you, residency requirement.
Residency portion of it.
But it does follow from the fact that you have to be a registered voter, that you have to be a resident of the area, but not for a year. But anyway, long story short, the qualifying factor is being an electorate, which requires being registered for 30 days prior to the election, or in this case, the appointment.
And I'm not contesting the qualification issue. If I was, then I would have a problem with the removal process. I agree that I did not hold that qualification on that day. So because of that, I will go to the removal, if the case where you want to go to the removal process, I'll be a part of that. I'm not going to contest it. And if it deems that 4/5 of the remaining council want me gone, that'll be.
Did you know when you applied that you were not an electorate?
No, I did not know that. I thought my address was in the 329 Wauseon because,
But you had not voted since you moved here. Obviously, they wouldn't elect you because they still
and they
were
would have,
registered.
and they would have told me to correct my address, just like I had the address correction form. I didn't do anything special to correct that problem, with the exception of changing the address form.
Okay.
But the issue here is not changing address, the correct address from Cherry Street to Fulton Street. The issue is letting the Board of Elections know that you were at either of those addresses, because compared to in Wood County, yeah. So it's the need to be registered as a voter that is the disqualifying factor. Again, just to clarify.
Do you remember registering as a voter in Wood County?
To be honest with you, no. It must have been a part of my administrative for getting into college.
That you had to be a registered voter of Wood County to be into college?
What I'm saying is I don't remember registering in Wood. It was 15 years ago. I thought I was still registered in Wauseon.
Well, can we, I know I did bring it up, and I'd kind of like to get this settled, but I'd like to make some phone calls tomorrow. Can we do that? That way I got time to make some phone calls to Columbus tomorrow.
When we come back again?
Discussion, or just shred it?
March 2nd?
There's nothing about it. We'll bring it up under old business in the next meeting.
Really?
Does anybody else have any discussion on this then? Okay. We have a motion to approve the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Councilor Shamp and second by Councilor Coast. Councilor Shamp?
Yes.
Councilor Coast?
Yes.
Councilor Strata?
Yes.
Councilor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Sturts?
Yes.
Councilor Frye?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Motion for adjournment.
Motion moved by Councilor Coast and second by Councilor Frye for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Waiting in November.